Thanks again for checking out the Coding Fanatic YouTube channel. Head on over to codingfanatic.com and join our mailing list for weekly updates on Android tutorials, career advice, and more. So once again, head on over to codingfanatic.com and thanks for your support. Welcome back. The last couple weeks, I've spent time working on my travel app project, and as it comes to a close, I thought I should really document the final steps as I go along. I'm working on adding a dialog box to the application when I ran into an very interesting error. It seems that Android Studio has issues with naming layout files using capital letters. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, I could go into a long, boring, lengthy explanation, or we can take a look for ourselves. So here in Android Studio, when I open my layouts folder, you'll see I have two. I first created this one called layout_dialogbox.xml. It's a dialog box. This is the layout file for it. And I tried to, when I added it, I did it by right-clicking on the layout folder and going to new file. And I just wrote out the name, layout_dialogbox.xml. But whenever I try to complete a build, I run into this issue right here, which says, let's minimize the event log. D is not a valid file-based resource name character. File-based resource names must contain only lowercase a to z, 0 through 9, or underscore. Now, what does this mean? Well, it means exactly what it sounds like, that any of my layout files have to use lowercase a to z, lowercase or 0 to 9 or underscores. So this file that says layout_dialogbox is not allowed. So what I did, I couldn't figure out what the issue was. I kept running into problems with the constraint layout. And as you can see, there's a red squiggly underneath it, and it says the layout_dialogbox in layout has no declaration in the base layout folder. This can lead to crashes when the resource is queried in a configuration that does not match this qualifier, blah, blah, blah. What does all that mean? Who knows? So what I did, knowing that my code is flawless here in my XML file, I just I'll copy and paste it into a new file and see what happens. Only this time, instead of right-clicking going to new file, I went all the way down to XML and said, let's create a new layout XML file. And as I proceeded to write the name of the file, dialog box, I got the exact same error here. Layout file name is not set to a valid resource name. Now, the thing is, you can't see the entire error unless you stretch the whole window out. So here you'll see that it's the exact same error message I got below. In fact, if we move this over, you'll see that they almost line up perfectly. D is not a valid file-based resource name character, file-based, yada yada. So, what did we learn here? Well, I learned, number one, if I'm going to add a new file to my project, and this is my advice to you, when you go to new, don't just add a file, select the file from the menu. If you're adding a fragment, add the fragment. If it's an XML, add an XML layout file. The reason for this is the Android Studio will catch these issues much easier than you will on your own. So, like I said, I added this file and it works fine, but because of the naming convention that is allowed in Android Studio, it created an error in my application and caused a whole slew of problems. But hey, that's how it goes in software development, right? You try one thing, most of the time it doesn't work out the gate. But you run into an error that leads you in the right direction. So that being said, my next plan for my application, I might as well run it, right? We're already here. I should also bring up that if you want to get rid of this error, just delete any file responsible for causing it. In this case, the layout dialog box. So we can just right click it and go to delete. And safe delete, yes. All right. And now when I rebuild the application, it should be a-okay. Right, Gradle? Let's skip ahead here. All right. Here we are inside the application. When I click on search list, here we have the list of addresses as well as an edit text. And for my next work of magic, when I click enter inside of the keyboard, I want it to close the keyboard and then filter this list to only display addresses which match the zip code here. So not quite sure how I'm going to get there, but you know, that's part of the journey too. I was planning on using a dialog box, but I think I'll go with just regular edit text and do something. My guess is that when I hit enter, clicking this is what's going to initiate everything. So there's got to be a listener or something I can use for this edit text field that will wait for me to hit enter, and when I do, then it'll, you know, perform some. I can set up some group of actions for it to perform, but we'll see. Anywho, thank you all so much again for tuning in to the Coding Fanatic YouTube channel. Don't forget to head on over to codingfanatic.com and subscribe to the mailing list so that you can get updates when I do project updates, tutorials, career advice, and more. So once again, thank you all so much for tuning in. This is your host, Richard Clark, signing off. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and subscribe to the mailing list on codingfanatic.com. I wish you all a good evening, a good weekend, and I will see you all on the next one. Peace.